got the Texans fan by the podcast. Jeff Bridge, Fifth Ward Crenshaw. You know the best out there. Keno, Bo Diggity 713. To all my Texans Nation. If you feeling good, I want you to throw them H's up high. Yeah, like that. I see you. Let's swarm. Yeah, Houston, Texas, born and raised. Yeah, that's where I'm from. The best city in the state. Yeah, we stay turned up. There's excitement in the air for the Houston Texans. Yes, we swarming all year, causing havoc, we wrecking. Coming off that edge, we got 5-5-5-1. Thing on the outside, locking down your number one. All about the swarm mentality. And the H, standing on business is the way we operate. I rep that 7 like CJ, that 1 like Diggs, that 3 like Dale. H-Town, we doing it big, you know that 12 out here, and don't you never forget, better pick your poison, cause we got Joe in the midst, we rock that battle red, still blue, Liberty white, H-Town blue, drip galore, man, we so fresh, fire like the field, shout out to the whole squad, chasing greatness, eyes on the prize, one goal, it's time to take it, let's get it, throw them H's up, throw them H's up, now you throw them H's up, throw them H's up, we throw them H's up, throw them H's up, let's all love for them Texans, cause them Bulls about to perform. Throw them H's up, throw them H's up. Now you throw them H's up, throw them H's up. We throw them H's up, throw them H's up. Let's all love for them Texans, cause them Bulls.
Welcome to the Texans Fan Battle Podcast. I'm your host tonight, Matthew Briggs. We got a special guest, so we're starting a little early. The boys will be on later on tonight, but let me introduce my guest, former Texan defensive tackle and co-host of the Payne and Pendergast. We got Mr. Seth Payne. How you doing, sir?
I'm good, man. That was worth doing this interview just to watch that intro you guys have. That's really cool. That put a smile on my face. Shoot. Sorry, man. I can't hear you. It might be. Let me see. I hear you now.
It's not so if it's not technical difficulties.
There we go. I got you.
Right. Well, can you hear me?
Yeah, I got you.
Okay. What were you saying?
Oh, I love that intro. That was fun. That put a smile on my face. That was really that was really well done. Is that you?
I put it together.
Yeah.
But that's actually Crenshaw and Keno. They made the song and produced it and wrote it.
Yeah, that was good. That was really good. That was a great video. That's cool.
I was about to say it's been a while since we had you on, so you know.
Yeah, usually I don't know. Like every other time I've done it, I think I might have been doing it from my phone or something, so I couldn't really appreciate the production quality.
Yeah, I saw you banging your head, so I was like, oh, he likes it.
Yeah,
he likes it. So we gotta update a little bit, you know, with the digs. So. We got to figure out some things.
Yeah, there's not enough nostalgia there. You know, it was about like if he had been a part of the playoff push or something. Yeah, it's just I get it.
If we made it to the AFC Championship or something, right? Like,
yeah.
So, well, Seth, thanks for coming on. I kind of want to talk to you this whole offseason, and I understand why, but this whole offseason, it seemed like on the Texas defense, has been nothing but the secondary.
Mm.
And I feel like the Texas defensive line does not get enough love. Do you agree? Does it deserve to be feared in the NFL?
I don't know. Yeah, I mean, they definitely talk about the edge rushers more than the defensive tackles, and I get it. That makes sense. I think in some people's minds, they're more eager for a stud defensive tackle than they need to be. And I'm not saying that you can't always use better defensive linemen, but I think for the way they want to operate, where you can only pay so many guys at so many positions, the guys they've got there now, and especially with Tim Settle and potentially him playing better with the second year in a system, and Nick Caserio says he needed to get his weight down last year. I like the rotation they have. I think that, yes, if they could find some superstar stud defensive tackle that was a 3-down Pro Bowl 10-sack type of guy, by all means, get that guy. But especially when it comes to stopping the run, I think they did enough last year in kind of tweaking how they were operating things that that it's plenty good enough. I mean, this defense, I'm so much more focused on improving the offense and finding out what they have on offense that I feel like everything on defense at this point is just gravy whenever you try to add something into it.
Right. I just feel like when you have guys like Will Anderson and Danielle Hunter, like it's hard not to be scared of this defensive line.
Yeah.
I mean, both guys had 10 sacks last year, so it just seems like it don't get enough fear from the NFL.
Yeah, I don't think, and the thing that I think people don't realize is that the Texans defense isn't just all about creating turnovers. I think there's some concern that, hey, like they feasted on turnovers last year and you just can't count on that from one year to the next. There's some substance behind why they get the turnovers, though. I mean, for one, they just have the ball skills of the guys in the secondary. But when you've got a really good pass rush and you're forcing pressure, those interceptions, it's going to vary from year to year, but they're just constructed as a way, a team that's going to have the potential for a lot of turnovers. You think about the Bears back in the Lovie Smith days. I know it wasn't just random chance that Peanut Tillman was so good at getting the ball out. They practiced at it and they were really good at it. With the defensive line, I think sometimes where like a better athlete, or if they had a guy that was like a genuine all-pro type caliber guy, I think there's sometimes where when the defensive ends take inside moves and they flush the quarterback, that's where having a really rangy guy on the interior that can contain them and wrap things up, like that might help out a lot more. But the guys that they do have, whether it ends up in sacks or not, they're getting pressure up the middle, and that creates spillover to Daniil and Danico if he's playing end, and Will obviously,
and Barnett. Like I don't think Derek Barnett gets the love he deserves, because I think if he goes to any team other than the Eagles and the Texans, like he's a starter, like he's a star.
Yeah, and he's a great example. I'm glad you brought him up because you're right. He doesn't get enough credit, but then also I think he's kind of under-discussed, even when we talk about guys that the Texans sign on one-year deals and then they re-sign or what have you, because Barnett hasn't been a starter. Like you kind of forget that, oh, yeah, that was a guy that was just looked like he was at the end of his career. His own team didn't think that much of him anymore. He came here onto this defense, and he's been able to play like a different guy. That's the culture that I like that they have now, especially on defense, I think, is that they're becoming that destination for veterans on a one-year deal. That, all right, I know that I've seen this happen with other guys. I'm going to go and I'm play for the Texans where that looks like they have a lot of fun playing defense. But if I play, there's a good chance the Texans will extend me themselves, or I'm just, going to pull a Sheldon Rankins or whomever else that goes off and gets a better deal somewhere.
Yeah, that was like I'm blanking on his first name, but the Arnett pickup, the cornerback.
Yeah, Damon. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a low risk, high reward. Like if he comes out and has a good season, good.
Yeah.
If he doesn't, oh well. Like and he's not a key role position player.
Right.
He's a rotating, and that's what people fail to realize. D'Amico loves to rotate every position on that defense. So.
Yeah, and I think that's where, with the defensive tackles, they've got guys that you don't look at most of those guys and think, okay, when you really need to stop the run, who are you going to throw in there? Except that Tim Settle looks like that guy. I remember when I saw him in person at training camp for the first time last year, I didn't realize he was as big as he was. And it turns out it sounds like Caserio wanted him a little bit smaller than he was. But guys like that, when they get into this system, as long as if you can genuinely rotate 8 guys through, the sum is so much greater than, or whatever the old saying is, the sum is greater than the sum of its parts, or whatever. The product is greater than the sum of its parts, because guys are fresh, and you can get in offensive linemen in there, and they're going to have to face Foley Fatukasi and Marty Edwards, but then all of a sudden Tim Settle rolls in and Sheldon Rankins, and finding the balance and when to play aggressively versus when to really anchor in versus the run. It's something that those guys as a group have gotten better at. I think last year it seemed like one thing that D'Amico may have tweaked was there were a lot of times where Foley Fatukasi instead of looking like the classic D'Amico Ryans defense where you line up in a gap and just try to get upfield, it looked like he was playing a little bit more like an old school read and react type of defensive tackle. So they tweaked it a little bit as it went on to get better and stouter versus the run. So I like that. Like I like that malleability out of D'Amico. He's not, he doesn't make things overly complex, but he also understands that you got to alter how you operate sometimes.
Yeah, you got to improve, right? You got to adjust on the fly. I would say, and maybe you can tell me if I'm wrong, but I believe that the Neil Hunter, Barnett, Anderson, I don't think they get enough credit for their run stopping ability. I think, just like when JJ was here, everybody talked about how great of a pass rusher he was, but nobody talked about how he defended run. And I feel like that's the same thing with Will Anderson.
Yeah, I think with Will especially, because
absolutely,
I mean, the greatest thing about him is that there was never a part of him when he was a rookie where he had to explain to him, hey, no, it's not all about sacks. You got to stop the run too. Like he attacks that ferociously. And Daniil, yes, like with Will, I feel bad for Daniil because I do feel like sometimes we get so excited about Will because he's the draft pick. He's the young one. He's the one you can envision the future with. That like Daniil Hunter is producing like crazy, and he doesn't quite feel the same. Like I don't feel the same affection for him that you do off of a homegrown guy, and part of that might just be Will Anderson's personality. But yeah, the ability of those guys to understand when to just crash down, take on a block, do all the things to force the run back inside. It's really, really important because in this defense and the way they operate, when you line up those defensive ends real wide, if they get selfish and if all they ever want to do is run upfield and so what if it's a run, it makes life so difficult for those defensive tackles and the linebackers. So they do a really good job with that. And it really at this point with Will, it's like you can see the trajectories on, and it's just a matter of just everything becoming that much more automatic. That I feel like I feel
like a muscle memory, right? Like muscle memory. Yeah.
I think if you go back and you watch JJ his rookie year, it's amazing. And he was productive there in the second half of his rookie year, but it's just amazing over the next 2 or 3 seasons how automatic everything became. And you could see his rookie year, he's almost kind of thinking his way through things. And then it just got to the point where he could just hit things so smoothly that, and Will is real close to that. Like some of the stuff he's starting to hit now automatically, he wasn't doing his rookie year. So he's out, and unlike JJ or unlike Nick Bosa or unlike a lot of those other guys, like Will's only been a genuine 4-3 defensive end for a couple years now. He was a off-ball linebacker to a defensive lineman that played on the line, but he was, head up on the offensive tackle a lot. Yeah, you're getting me excited talking about with these guys.
Well, here's the crazy thing though, Seth, and I keep reminding people is we have not seen a full healthy season from Will Anderson. Just imagine if he's been banged up both rookie season and last year, and still dominating. I mean, him and Daniil Hunter led the league at one point at getting the quarterback. Hurries, pressers.
Yeah.
So just imagine he stays healthy like this. The mind blowing.
Yeah. Well, if you look at this year, I looked at Max Crosby and Trey Hendrickson actually, and in a lot of their increased like the extra production they had over Will. A lot of it is simply that they played more snaps. They played 200 or 300 more snaps. So that's a part of it because you want to rotate your defensive linemen, but with Will and Daniil, obviously you want them on the field as much as possible. I think the biggest thing with him, I was thinking about this the other day. Like Steph Curry's obviously the biggest example of a guy who had ankle issues and then figured it out. And I had almost actually forgotten that I used to get chronic ankle sprains, and which is dumb because I like in all the times I've talked about Will Anderson's ankles. But when I was in high school and college, I would get high ankle sprains, and I ended up finally in college doing all the same stuff that Will Anderson is doing, I'm sure, with ankle strength and ankle flexibility and everything. And like after a while, I just forgot about it because I never had that issue in the NFL. So it is like it's not like I'm worrying about a guy that has chronic arthritis or something. There are a lot of guys that have chronic ankle issues, but if you do the regimen the right way and figure it out, it doesn't have to be a career long thing. So I kind of like that he's had a recurring issue as opposed to 7 different random injuries.
Right. I mean, it's just one. That way, if he can, kind of get it under control,
Yeah.
we'd be all right.
Yeah.
Same thing with JJ. It was his back. Sadly, he could never get it to where he wanted under control.
Yeah. Correa was his back, same thing, and he ends up having that mysterious lower leg injury, but it wasn't an issue here. It was just he figured out what he needed to do for his back and had that regimen. That you haven't heard about his back, at least, nothing that's for the duration of the time he was in Houston after that.
Absolutely. So I've been getting some kind of flack around from other guests and everybody outside of Houston Texans, but I said that this defense is going to be scarier, if not as scary as Legion of Boom. Am I pushing it a little bit, or
I think that's where I think you're on the right track in terms of who you'd hope that they'd be. I mean, I think the one big difference in a good way is that this defense is built more for the modern NFL. And I know we're only talking 12 years ago, but but like, I don't know if you could get away necessarily with playing as much zone and cover 3 in the style that they did in the secondary. But they certainly have the guys who are physical enough to do it, but they've got corners that, like Derek Stingley and Richard Sherman, they're different types of cornerbacks. Stingley's just a pure cover corner, and in a good way. And that allows you to do so many more things and open up so many things that I think they can be a little bit more of an exotic and complex defense, but still have that same physicality. So I really like in terms of statistically and everything else like that, I think they're certainly capable. The biggest thing is just that if they can just iron out the big plays, the big pass, the big deep touchdowns allowed, some of the big runs, those Legion of Boom defenses used to have really, really good tackling. They were amongst the league leaders every year in fewest missed tackles. And that's a big part of the misplays for the Texans. You go back to the Chiefs game, missed tackles,
Travis Kelce,
yeah. And it's something you can work. I mean, the Seahawks had a rugby tackling specialist that was like a full-time coach on their staff for a while. And I know D'Amico, that's one thing that D'Amico kind of changed on through the course of last season was, I think he previously always thought all right, nope, we're just going to get guys swarming to the ball, take your shot. We won't worry about the missed tackles. There's a balance you can find there, I think. And some of it just comes down to realizing that there are ways you can drill the tackling without sacrificing the physicality.
Well, and also too, I think a lot of cutting down the big plays is
Shoot, I don't know if you can hear me, but you froze up.